Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Ground Passers, to another episode of Ground Pass. This is a little bonus pod. We've been having these bonus pods throughout Roland Garros, but I have some special guests. I brought in the big guns for this one because I knew I couldn't do it by myself. I had to bring in the top gear. Lucy and Eugene from Blackspin Global. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Anastasia? Thanks for having us, man.
It's an honor for me to have you guys. I've been on your podcast. You guys are now on Ground Pass. I love it. But everyone, we're in clay. Roland Garros is still happening. In fact, we just finished watching Iga Swiatek and Arina Sabalenka. Arina Sabalenka is now a finalist at Roland Garros. We just watched that. Coco Gauff is about to come onto the court, so we need to make this quick. So we can go watch that. So all things are going on at Roland Garros, but we all know that next week comes the grass, or this weekend, right, Lucy?
Yeah, it's technically even started because Birmingham started this week, but yeah, grass season is here. It's our season, obviously, UK people, so you guys can talk about grass, whatever, but we're here. We're here.
Well, that's why I reached out to you, because I was like, I don't have, funny enough, I'm probably going to my very first grass season tournament this year in the States. We do have only one. It's now the Newport Challenger that is going to be a mixed challenger. I think it's either the second week of Wimbledon or just right after Wimbledon. So I'm going to be going, but I have no experience going to grass court tournaments. So
that's going to be amazing because that's where the Tennis Hall of Fame is, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I've never been.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited. But I wanted to talk to both of you because Queens is coming up. And for the first time as well, the Queens are back at Queen. So I want to talk to you about the tournament, what it's like. I know you've both been, and who else to get all the info from than people who have been. So Eugene, for people listening, where is Queens? Like, where is it in the UK?
So it's West London. The closest station is Barron's Court, which is like a tube station. But in terms of the area, it's very, it's kind of like in the middle of like a residential street. So unless you know about it, you're not really gonna, you would completely miss it if you were unaware, that a tennis court or tennis club, because it's actually a tennis club.
Okay.
So a lot of the locals, they have access to the grounds during the event, which is a quite nice touch. But obviously, it's opened up to the public as well to buy tickets whatever day they want to go and see some tennis. But yeah, in terms of the area, it's in West London. Obviously, Wimbledon is southwest London, so it's not too far from Wimbledon, but it's a fair way from Wimbledon. But it's a nice kind of area as well. It's pretty affluent.
Okay.
You'll see a lot of well-to-do locals. Which I think London is pretty much that now, isn't it? So
I was about to say, just say how it is. It's for the rich people. It's a rich people area. Okay.
But no, it's a nice part of town, definitely.
Okay. But you're saying you can just get on the tube and you're there.
Yeah,
if you're staying in London.
From Barron's Court station, it's probably a 3-minute walk, Lucy. It's not
2-minute walk. Yeah,
at all.
It's very easy to get to.
Okay, and so this is actually really fascinating because you're saying it's in the middle of the city and it's easy to miss. So is it small, Lucy? Is it a small area?
It is small. It is pretty small, to be honest. Hence why that's why when I was explaining to people to try and go this year, I was always telling them get the center courts because the outside courts can get really, really tight. And it might be harder for you to get a seat for you to watch matches. But yeah, it is quite small, to be fair. But it's still okay. There's some space around and stuff. But it's not as big as some other tournaments like Eastbourne or even Birmingham, to be honest, because I was there for the first time. It's definitely the smallest, in terms of the space, definitely the smallest. But it's still, there's still a lot of courts. There's a lot of practice courts. You have the center court, you have the number one court, and you have some outside courts. But even in terms of media, for instance, they're always it's so tight that only one person per organization can be on site at the same time.
Wow.
which, you know, I mean, is what it is.
But
I
think like that speaks to, like Lucy said, like how intimate the venue is. Like it's it's a very small venue, so they can't have, or they can't afford to have like thousands of people like on the grounds at one time. But I think that's kind of what makes it special too. Like the fact that you can see literally players just like walking past you, and like you can see the practice courts, for instance. Like there's no kind of, basically as you're walking into the grounds, you can basically you'll literally see players practicing, like which is crazy.
Well, I was just going to say that reminds me a little bit about the City Open in DC. The City Open is one of my favorite tournaments because it's in the middle of DC. It's in the middle of a city, but it's so small that you're just, I mean, everyone's just walking around, and it's one of those very odd experiences where, you know, Francis Tiafoe was just walking right by you. And I remember Jerry Shang, like I was there last year, and Jerry Shang just, you know, there are benches for fans to sit and hang out and stuff. And Jerry Shang just sat down, brought his lunch, and just ate out with everybody else. And it was so small and intimate. So it seems that Queens is very similar.
No, definitely.
Okay, so, you know, you've said that the grounds are super small, and I think a lot of what ground passers, you know, people who just have grounds tickets coming to these tournaments, you know, they want to see the players up close and all of that. You talked a little bit about the practice courts, Lucy, but how close are they? Like, how are they set up? Like, are they chairs that you can watch, or you just stand around the court to watch them practice?
So in some of them, you can actually sit down, like there's the bench, and you can just sit down and watch. There's some where it's literally like you can stand, and it's pretty close. Like even like I would say Queens and Eastbourne, they both like you're very close to like the practice courts and stuff. Like you can easily like really see them. So yeah, I think that's one thing that I love about it, is that it gives the opportunity to people to see these players and stuff, and in a more chilled, you know, environment compared to Wimbledon, where it's like and so it's actually really pretty close. So yeah, the tickets are not that expensive, especially for the women. It's actually way cheaper as well. So it's definitely worth like your money.
Okay, let's get on to that, because that's the next thing. I live in New York, and I just love to talk about ticket prices.
Girl, especially for tennis.
I'm not going to bring up the U.S. Open right now. We'll leave that for another podcast.
Thoughts and prayers.
You know, just any good vibes that you can send my way would be very helpful. But in terms of Queens, what are the tickets like? Because I see tickets are still available for the women's matches.
Yeah. So for the women, literally, I kid you not, for like the ground admission cost is like £15 to £20. So let's say that's like $25, $30, something like that. And then for like center court for the day one, when I checked last time, the cheapest ticket was like £50, so like $60, $70 center court tickets, literally. So yeah, and I think for the men's it's about the same, or maybe like £5 or £10 a little bit more. The men's one, they always sell out quick, and to be honest, the men's did have they have more of the higher ranked players, to be fair, like Carlos Alcaraz, he's there, Tommy Paul, who won last year, Shelton, I can't remember. No, not Fritz, but there's big names at the ATP.
Yeah.
There's big names.
Francis
TFO as well. So without a doubt, that will sell out quick. But we also need to consider that this is the first time that we're also having the WTA, which, in my honest opinion, I wish they did a little bit more promo. I wish they pushed it a little bit.
To be honest, it's not the first time. It's returning, because
but when I mean first, I mean like since 50 years though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So like in our lifetime.
In our lifetime,
yeah.
But the reason why I'm hesitant to say it is because, I don't want to like a dig to, you know, the team or whatever, because it is what it is. But I do wish there was a little bit more promo into it. I think it was a little bit light, especially considering that it's getting a little bit more, it's getting a proper rebrand. It's now being, you know, it's now called HSBC Championship, so it's sponsored by HSBC for the next 5 years. You know, we have like the women's as well, especially that is so difficult to get Wimbledon tickets. You can't just get up and go Wimbledon. Like US Open, fair enough, it costs an arm and a leg, but at least you can easily go on Ticketmaster and close your eyes and pay that mortgage price for you to go and watch some tennis and call it a day. Whereas in Wimbledon, is like, if I want to go right now, I'm not going anywhere. You know, I kind of wish it was pushed a little bit more, especially that it's much cheaper. It's in London. It's so easy to get to, and you get to see some tennis as well. So yeah, I wish there was a little bit more promo, but we'll see. Maybe they wanted to keep it licensed the first year, but we'll see anyways.
Yeah. I love the idea of it being so accessible and cheap as well, because I think for us, especially at Grandpa's, and I know that's what you do as well on Black Spin Global, this is such a great sport. And I think people sometimes miss out on the greatness of the sport because they can't afford to go, or the tournament is too far away. But everything you've told me so far is I can get on the tube, I can get to the courts really easily, and then I'm not paying an arm and a leg. I'm paying £20, 25, whatever it is. I mean, center court tickets for £50. I mean, I could fly to London, buy tickets to Queens, and it would be cheaper than US Open tickets. Okay. Just so we know what's happening.
It's funny as well. Like, so Tamani Carrier, our good friend, he actually published an article today, actually. So as we're recording this on a Thursday, saying that basically tickets have actually, I think they've sold like 80% of tickets already for the women's event. So
that's great.
And one of the main kind of goals of the LTA, was to basically diversify like the audience, and the majority of those tickets are women. Like, so women have purchased most of those tickets, which is a good sign. So kind of shows that they're onto something there in terms of like, having this tournament, you know, this women's event, like Lucy said, probably could have done better in terms of like promotion. But I do also think that's also, you've got to take into account the fact that the grass court season is so short. Yeah. So that there's not much time to kind of, literally, as soon as French Open finishes, it's straight into Queens. So it's like, there's not a lot of time in between.
For sure.
But that's kind of the fact for all grass events, really and truly. It's such a like small window compared to like the hard court season and the clay court season. So yeah, I think overall though, like this being the first year, it's quite exciting, and I'm looking forward to actually seeing and experiencing it like for the first time.
Yeah. And going back to the grounds a little bit, you know, I think you've talked about how accessible it is and getting around. What is the vibe there as well? Because is there a lot of food and drink? Should you be bringing your own food or drink? You know, what is the vibe? How much does that cost? You know, should I bring my own sandwich lunch? Honestly, tell me more, Lucy.
We can't talk because obviously we've never been. Well, I've never been as a like paying like ground passer.
Yeah,
I've only been as media, so I don't know how much things cost in terms of food and stuff.
Okay.
But what I will say, and probably Lucy will kind of elaborate, that the clientele you see there, they are there for a good day out. So they kind of, I think they come prepared knowing that I'm going to have to spend some money here in order to have a good time. And I'm not really sure if they're too concerned about like how pricey things are, because I can imagine things being quite pricey. You said, I don't know if you want to elaborate.
Yeah, I to be fair, no, I thought the question was just going to ask just like the vibe of like the environment, how it is. So I thought that's why I was making those faces, but I'll get to that later. But in terms of like the prices and stuff, to be fair, it's just your typical overcharging tournament thing. To be honest, in all honesty, because I remember one time I wanted to get a bottle of water or something, and it did cost a little bit more. But the luck is with these tennis tournaments, you can bring your own stuff in terms of like food. So I always say it's worth bringing the food, but I always say enjoy the drinks there. You know me, I like little drinks. So, nice little pims, nice little, champagne bottle, little cute.
Yeah, no, I agree. I always say you can bring your own food and whatever, but if you
before you get there, and then
exactly,
because that's what I did in Madrid. In Madrid, I did not eat anything there, but I drank. I did
very
drink.
sensible.
But I
especially
ate well
with all
before
of
I got
these,
there.
all these tournaments now that have their signature
cocktail.
So you kind of want to experience that as part of the tournament. Every tournament I go to now has a signature cocktail. They all saw the US Open and they're like, we want that money too. Thank you.
Exactly. Exactly.
But Lucy, I mean, I think it's good to know as well, like who are there? Is it an older crowd? Is it a younger crowd? Like who's at these tournaments? Like, what should people expect when they go? Do we have to dress up? Do we have to wear hats? Like, what is the vibe?
In terms of the fashion, it's actually mixed. You have the people who dress really nicely, and then you have you can see they're the proper tennis fans that came to just watch the players and the tennis, and they're very casual. You have the families, especially during the weekends, which is really nice. You see them bringing their kids and stuff, which I really love, and the kids are like very like excited and everything. So it is a bit of a mix of a crowd, but the vibe is very the rich people vibe, the shut up and clap, don't be making a single noise
crowd.
Is yeah, but you see
or a British tennis crowd, let's say.
Very British tennis crowd, and extremely like even way more than Wimbledon. Wimbledon, at least you get a little bit more vibe. Queens, I'm gonna be so honest. As much as I do, like the reason why I'm scared is I don't want to turn people off if they ever like want to go. It's still worth going, but it's more of a heads up. There are times, I'm not gonna lie, as a black woman, I am a little bit uncomfortable. I think out all of the tournaments that I've been to, in tennis tournaments in general, we can all agree here that when we go, we feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, we stand out.
We stand out.
Yeah.
Queens, however, when I'm there, I am 100% reminded that I am nothing but a black woman, okay? There is that. It is the place where I get asked the most if I'm related to a tennis player that I'm seeing, if I am a staff member, as in a cleaner or anything, and nothing wrong with that. But, I know that if I was a white woman with blonde hair, you would not be asking me this question. Is it look like, or when like there's a long queue, and then obviously I don't need to queue, I'm media, and I'm walking in and people are looking at me like, girl, what are you doing here? And I have to flash in front of their foreheads that no, I am media, I'm here to do my work. So in terms of the vibe, it can be a little bit like, rich people, quiet, blah, blah, blah. There's been times where, for instance, I've watched matches where I can see some of the crowds are getting upset with the younger crowds are trying to, bring in the energy. I never forget, this was a Tiafo match, and there were some people looking at them like, oh, why are you making noise? And you can see that the guys are just excited and they're enjoying it. And Tiafo type of matches, especially when, he's playing really well, you're pumped up as well. Or like, even as one time I was watching Giovanni and Shelton, and the kid was getting really, I think it was a French kid. And it's like they wanted to like, tell the kid to like, calm down. Actually, no, it wasn't Giovanni and Shelton. It was Giovanni and someone else. And I think even the player was annoyed at the kid and stuff for always cheering for Giovanni and stuff. So yeah, if you go, just be prepared that, the image that they give of Wimbledon, like, oh, Wimbledon is classy, and think, no, Wimbledon's actually more mixed than Queens. Queens is really where you're seeing the rich white people that don't want you to be making too much noise. Like, they're here for club, like probably the club members who are like, this is a nice, classy place. And but it goes back to Eugene's point. I think the LTA is trying to change that image a little bit. They are trying, they want to diversify, they want young people to be coming in, they want people to come in. And that's why I was making those TikToks about the tournaments, and there were so many people saying, oh, I didn't know about this. A lot of people in the UK think that the only tennis tournament in London is actually Wimbledon, or even in the UK in general. So when I was making this video talking about a tournament, like, oh my gosh, oh, Eastbourne looks like a vibe. Oh, I didn't know about Queens. Wait, that's in London. Like, oh. So the vibe, I'm not gonna lie, there are times where I literally tell Eugene, I'm not excited to go, because I'm trying to enjoy the tennis, but I don't like the way that I don't feel comfortable at Queens sometimes. I'm going to be very honest with you. But that's only for Queens. Other tennis tournaments, I can deal. But Queens is generally the only tournament where I feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because, again, in general, we want younger people to get into the sport. That is the only way a sport survives and grows, is if the younger generation can come in and find a place to be in the sport. So it's nice to see that the LTA is trying to open that up a little bit, but I think it's also nice to give people a heads up. I think even you, Lucy and Eugene, because I met you in person when you came to the US Open. And I feel like both of you are very sort of, like you said, open to cheering and excitement and everything. But even the US Open was shocking for you two. If I remember correctly, you were kind of like, they are loud. I'm like, oh, this is just normal.
It's next level. It's next level.
And I think because it's also New York as well, is even more like, you know, but and I think that's why Eugene said earlier, the whole like, you know, it's just a British crowd in Queens. Like that's just us, you know, like very like to ourselves and whatnot. But it's funny because another side of us, we're just as loud and rowdy stuff. Like
that's true, yeah.
Outside, like when like Wimbledon, the grounds when you're walking around, Anastasia, everyone is, half of the people there are drunk on Pimm's, having the time of their lives, okay? I'm telling you this right now. British people, we love to drink. Like, they are having the time. It's not the classy clap, clap, clap friend. Like, yeah, you're going to see your Birkin bags, but you're going to see that casual 9-to-5 person who's having the time of his life, who booked some time off, who's trying to enjoy Wimbledon. So we do have that, but it's definitely, like, US Open was like an eye-opener. I was like, whoa. Okay, yeah, this is a lot. This is a lot. But I still love it. Yeah. Same when I went to the French Open, still love it. I would still take that crowd, that energy over the Wimbledon thing that we have any day.
Yeah.
Any day.
Yeah, no, I like that you said that, because it really does give someone an idea. I know, especially, you know, I don't know about you. Sometimes I go to tournaments by myself. You know, I just have the day off and I just want to go. And sometimes you just want a heads up. You're just like, what am I walking into? What should I expect? So that it's not jarring and it's not shocking. So I hope we're able to provide that. Any last tips or tricks before we move on, specifically to Queens? But then I also want to talk about what other, you've mentioned some of them, Eastbourne, but what other grass court tournaments should people expect and what the vibes are like there?
Well, yeah, for me, Queens happens at the same time as, well, there's also Nottingham as well, isn't there?
Yeah, but I think that's a challenge.
So there's Nottingham, Birmingham, Eastbourne. So that's 4 events as well as Queens. And yeah, I mean, if you can, that all of them are worth going to. You'll experience like good tennis. I think Queens is a 500 compared to Eastbourne, which has been downgraded to a 250 this year.
Okay,
for both men and women. And I think like Lucy's right, Nottingham is a challenger, so all 125. But yeah, you're still going to see like a good level of tennis. It's professional tennis. So, I mean, Madison Keys, she's won Eastbourne a couple of years now.
Yeah. I feel like that's Taylor Frisk's home tournament. He's always winning Eastbourne.
Yeah, exactly. So you see like a good standard of players. Alex Dimonor as well. I'm sure pretty sure he won it fairly recently as well. So yeah, you're going to see a good level, like regardless. But I think for me anyway, Queens is like the most prestigious, if I can say the word correctly, grass court event leading up to Wimbledon. Just because, for me it's a 500, but also I think the venue, it's quite a historic venue as well, and I think that kind of holds a lot of weight.
Did they change the name? It's now the Andy Murray.
Yeah, Andy so Murray, the main stadium. I'm not sure if that's going to be for the women, but for the men this year, I'm not. I think it's this year alone. Yeah, the main court's going to be called the Andy Murray Stadium, which is quite nice because he's won it like 5 times. I want to say. I think the most out of anybody else. So it's quite a nice touch.
Okay. Yeah. No, this has been great. It gets me excited. Like, it seems like, because I think everyone gets disappointed when they don't get the ticket for Wimbledon, and they're just like, didn't get it, you know, and then they feel like that's the only option till next year. But it seems like Queens is like, first of all, you can easily get the tickets. At least the women's, I saw you can still buy some tickets. And it's still in London. Like, you still get the same vibe.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I would say my number one tip for Queens is try and get a centre court ticket so that you can have access to everywhere else, and you don't have to queue up for long for the court ones or the other smaller courts as well.
So I'm definitely going to put the TikTok video, I'm going to link it to the description of this podcast. So if you're listening to this, you can check it out. I'm going to put out this podcast today, so you still have time. But where is Blackspin Global going to be this grass court season? Do you know for sure where you guys are going to be at?
Definitely Queens. Eastbourne, possibly. Lucy?
Possibly. Depending on how it is, because for those who don't know, Eugene and I, we still work our 9 to 5, and I've accidentally become more and more important at work. So, it's becoming a little bit,
Lucy, you accidentally, did you trip and fall and become more important?
It's just that I try to make sure during grass season is a little bit like, quite like in my other roles, it was a little bit easier. But with this role, I'm like, you know what? I don't know. But the things as well, it all depends on the players. Obviously, we mainly focus on the black players. So, and Eastbourne is not in London. So it's like, we need to make sure, like every time I go to Eastbourne, for instance, I stay over for a night. I stay over for the night. Or I stay over like 2 nights, all depends. Although it's very easy to get to from London, it is long. Even Birmingham, when I went, I stayed Sunday evening and I came back to London on Monday. So yeah, it all depends. But either way, we'll most likely be there. Queen's definitely. Eastbourne, it just depends. Because sometimes as well, you need to remember, Eastbourne's the last tournament right before Wimbledon. So sometimes players do pull out at the last minute, and because Eastbourne has also unfortunately downgraded, you might not get as many players or whatnot. So, but I will try my best to go, because Eastbourne is actually my favorite out, aside from Wimbledon. It's my favorite grass tournament. I love the vibe there. It gives you a Wimbledon vibe without actually Wimbledon. The crowd is much more friendlier and happier and chilled as well. It is much more senior crowd, to be fair, as well. So you see a lot more people, like, because the company that sponsors Eastbourne is actually like some pension or retirement type of company type of thing. So maybe that's one of the things as well. And also the area, to be fair, there might not be as many young people, but it's very like family, like very, very, it's nice, especially when it's sunny, because it's more of like it's near like a coastal type of place.
It's a seaside town.
Near the seaside. So it's really, really, really beautiful as well. I generally really love Eastbourne. And Eastbourne's, it holds a special place in my heart. Is where I interviewed Serena at a press conference where I asked her a question. So that will always have like a special place like in my heart. But even aside from that, the vibe is great. Like I always tell people, if you can make a day trip to Eastbourne, definitely go. Even if it's downgraded, I feel like it was still, I don't feel like it would change much, just play maybe the playlist, but it's worth like going. It's way more spacious. It's very nice when the weather is nice as well. So yeah.
Okay. Wow, that's great. Now I want to go. So, I mean, this has been great. This is awesome. I got so many tips and tricks. And again, I'm just thinking, how much cheaper it'll be if I just got a flight to London. And went to one of those tournaments instead of the US Open. But, just to wrap up real quick, because usually these episodes are kind of a wrap up of the past rounds of Roland Garros. So just really quick, maybe 5 or 10 minutes on it. What did you think of the quarterfinal rounds? Like, let's just start with the men first. We had Novak beating Zverev, and we had Tiafoe losing to Musetti. What was the other one? Sinner doing Sinner things against Bublik. And look, he met the Pope. There's nothing else we can do,
That was in response to Tiafoe Musetti, but anyway.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, I did. Okay. I did see Eugene had thoughts on this. I did see that. Who did Carlos Alcaraz play in? Oh, Tommy Paul. He kind of took him apart, Tommy Paul. So with those 4 matches in general, what you expected, what you didn't expect, Eugene, do you have things to say?
I'm still heated, honestly. And I've got nothing against Lorenzo Musetti. He's a great player. Father now as well. Great to watch, top tenor. I respect him, but I'm sorry, any kind of, like I said in the tweet, any kind of physical connection that's made or contact that's made with an official, ball person, member of the crowd, and if it's done in anger or frustration, that should automatically be a default or disqualification. There needs to be more consistency. I got the year wrong, but I referenced the Novak Djokovic incident at the US Open. And someone else actually said, what about the doubles player I think it was last year or 2 years ago.
2 years ago. That was so sad. Yep. Yeah.
So it's where's the consistency? And for me, I wish Tiafoe kind of made more of it as well, during his press conference. And I kind of understand why he didn't. But then at the same time, I don't know. Obviously, it wasn't going to change the result, unfortunately. But I don't think... I thought basically from that point, the match should have been over. And of course, it's not a nice way to kind of win a match or for a match to finish, but don't do the action in the first place. Like, so that decision wouldn't have to be made. And then just on the other quarterfinals, I actually blogged Djokovic Zverev for work, and it was incredible watching Djokovic. He's playing some really good tennis, man. Considering Zverev is like obviously 10 years younger than him. Like, well, it's not 10 years. Sorry, it's 8. He's
8 or 10.
a
It's
good
a
amount
lot.
of years younger.
Yeah.
But Djokovic looked like the better athlete. He looked like obviously the more tactical, like astute as well. I think he played like 30 plus drop shots that just kept catching Zverev out, which is something new. You don't really see that in Novak's game, but yeah, he looks really good. And I would not be surprised if he beats Jannik Sinner in that semi-final. I'm expecting Alcaraz to beat Musetti, but again, I think that could be close as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, some really exciting semis that have been set up. And I kind of agree with you in terms of the altercation that happened. And for anyone listening who hasn't heard of it, basically what happened is a ball boy was throwing a ball to Musetti. And at this point, I think, was it in the third set? I believe
it was.
Yeah.
I want to say the third. Yeah.
And he was definitely at this point getting frustrated. He had just lost the second set. So in frustration, he wasn't able to pick up the ball with his racket, so he kicks it, and it hits an umpire on the chest. Now, we've seen different things that have happened similarly on court where then the player is defaulted. Even think of Rublev yelling at that line. Like, it's something that gets you automatically defaulted in some cases, it seems. And that's the biggest part for me, the inconsistency. They need to look at that, and there has to be a consistent rule. It's not, because what it seems like right now, it's up to the discretion of the umpire.
Yeah.
And it's something very similar actually happened last year at the Winston-Salem tournament, where Alex Michelsen was losing, got super frustrated, missiled, just hit this ball right into the crowd, hit a spectator, like really hard. And everyone was like, okay, that's it. He's defaulted. Like, it was really bad. But the spectator was like, no, I'm okay. So the umpire was like, okay, let's carry on. So it's like, which is it? You know, if you hit and you hurt someone, but then the person's like, I'm fine, versus someone who's then not fine. Like, it just makes it too subjective, I think.
And that's the word. Subjective, like subjectivity, and people saying, "Oh, like context is needed." I mean, I hear all of those arguments, but for me, I just want consistency, and I think most people do. So yeah,
for sure. On the women's side, I mean, we've already had one of the semifinals already, but just in the quarterfinal round, you know, I think the biggest story really was this wild card, Lois Boisson beating Mira Andreeva. She beat Jessica Pegula in the round before, and just mostly focusing on the story of that win, you know, and maybe because you're Brits, that's why I'm asking you this, but it's totally giving me Emma Raducanu vibes at the US Open. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
So I don't know what you guys have thought of her run, because almost very similar to Emma Raducanu, no one was talking about it until everyone was talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think it's great, and it also shows to me, it shows the plus of having stuff like wild cards and stuff, because if she didn't get it, she wouldn't be where she is. I think it's such a great thing for her career financially as well. Like, she's good now. She's good for the next couple of years.
Yeah, she's
there
good.
Was even I even saw a picture of like how like on her top each round there was more sponsors coming up, so the people were coming up calling already, especially she's, you know, French woman playing for France and everything. And it's funny because I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the French Opens list of wildcard, I was like, right, they said forget all of you guys, we're only putting in the French, and it looks like it was worth it. You know, she's now all the way semi-finals, win or lose. It's actually really, really great what she's done. And on top of that, the main big difference about her run between her and Emma is that because Eugene's gonna roll his eyes at me for saying this, because I've always said this before. One thing that kind of not bothered, but the reason why I wasn't too about Emma's run, even though she won that slam, you can't take that away from her. She did what she had to do.
Qualifying.
And from qualifying, you see, he's already started. I haven't even finished. And from qualifying was the players that she had to beat.
Oh,
I've
God.
always felt like, you see, he rolled his eyes. You see what I mean? I've always said it. It's mainly because the final, her run versus Leylah Fernandez run. Leylah Fernandez was against top players, previous Grand Slam champions. Whereas for Emma, I just felt like, okay, I don't want to say she had an easier draw. She had an easy draw, but it wasn't anything near compared to what Leylah had to do. And you see with Boisson, for example, it's the same thing. She had to beat top unformed players for her to get there. Which is to me I find, I'm not saying like is like, oh, okay, what Emma did is nothing, but to me, for Boisson, whether she wins or not this Grand Slam, is really impressive. From wild card, getting there. I think was she not the finalist for the Saint Malo thingy as well?
No, it was an ITF. It was an ITF event. She won before coming in.
Okay, so and everything. So it's really nice to see. I love seeing these type of things, and with the WTA as well, because we don't get it as much because the girls are on form consistency. It's nice to I like the way WTA is going. Is that we had Andreeva had her shot a little bit as well, and then they were like, all right, okay, you can go back to the side now, and then now Boisson is it? But it's true. But I'm really happy for Andreeva. I think she just needs a little bit more time, and that's it. I think people are forgetting. It's the same way people put pressure on Coco and not realizing that she literally just turned 21, and they were acting like she was 32 and been in the career for like 55 years. Is the same thing that they're going to do with Andreeva, which is not fair. For her to get her titles and get to where she is, all she needs is just to mature. As she gets older, she will get better to know how to handle everything. But with Boisson, it's nice to see. It's nice for the sport. I've said it so many times. I love when there's a tournament and the player from that country is doing well. You saw Paolini in Rome, like it's just excited. Sinner in Rome as well. Like it was so packed. Some people were standing. Like if you needed a staff doing Rome Open that final, you wouldn't have found anyone. Everyone was there in the court watching. It brings just a different type of energy. I know people complain about the French crowd when Boisson is playing, but hey, it is what it is. It brings the vibe. So it's nice to see. I think it's pretty dope. But obviously today I am rooting for Coco.
Well, she's also the French number one now as well. I think going in, like, I don't know where
isn't that crazy?
But now she's like the French number one, which is incredible.
Crazy.
And I thought, Anastasia, you were going to say, oh, us being British. I thought you were going to reference the Harriet Dart incident, which I'm glad you didn't. But she's also overtaken Harriet Dart in the rankings too, which I think is also quite ironic and funny. So I hope Harriet Dart is watching. Love the name Boisson. I think it's such a nice name. But good luck, Coco, man. But fair play, Boisson, of course.
Sorry, that was so funny. He's like, whoever. But good luck, Coco.
No, all I will say about Harriet Dart is that it pays to be nice, and maybe you shouldn't say things like that when you're losing, because you're losing.
There's such a thing as karma.
Anyway.
Cheers.
Clack it.
Lucy, Eugene, thank you so much for coming on Ground Pass. I learned a lot about the grass court tournaments coming up, and I hope people listening have learned a lot too. Again, if you're in the vicinity of London, if you're in France, anywhere close by, I would get on a train, a bus, the channel, swim across the channel, and get you some tickets to Queens, because it seems like it's going to be a really, really great event. And then I can't wait till Wimbledon, because you're both going to Wimbledon, right?
Sure. We are going to be there. And also it's going to be the 50th anniversary of Arthur Ashe winning his Wimbledon title. So we have to be there. Like, we have to, It
only makes sense.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you guys are going to do. Oh, it's going to be exciting. Okay, looking forward to those daily pods. Please keep them coming. I will leave links in the description below to Black Thing Global. Please follow Lucy and Eugene, because it's just fun, good times. Just listen to it. You know what it is? Every time I put your podcast on, I just feel like we're at a cafe kikiing, and you're just telling it. You're just telling it how it is. You're like, did you see that? Did you see that? And that's what it feels like. So I hope everyone
I'm
else
glad you
can
said
feel
that,
like
because I want it
too.
to be like, I'm tired. I don't want that image of formal, nice thing when it comes to like tennis. And that's one thing that I love about like our platform, is that we're trying to show people that, you know, this is actually fun and chaotic, and it can be a little bit ghetto sometimes. It
Bring a
can
bit
be
of
a little bit
personality.
rowdy, and yeah, like, so I'm glad that you said that. So yeah.
That's why I always tell people too to watch your podcast on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, because sometimes you both won't say anything, but you will look
And
at
then,
each other and like,
Stop it. Okay, stop with the praise now. No, honestly, Anastasia, honestly, what you've been doing with the Ground Pass these past few years now, like, it's
amazing.
incredible to see the growth. So, yeah, more power to you. And you're doing
For
great
real.
things, like with the watch-alongs. Like, we're learning a lot from you as
No,
well.
for
So,
real.
and it's
I just
fantastic
take
to
it
kind
from
of
you.
see. It's fantastic to see, yeah, the growth, like that you've kind of been kind of on this journey of growth this past 2 years. So
Yeah.
yeah, more power to you. And just thanks for having us on as well. It's been a blast, and obviously we'll
Thank
have to
you.
come on whenever you want us to.
Of course, all the time. Thank you for saying that, and thank you for coming on. And we will see you guys next time on Ground Pass. Bye, guys.